resources for people who are struggling with or are affected by addiction, and all of them are provided completely free of charge. These include Hope Not Handcuffs, which, in collaboration with law enforcement and the assistance of volunteer angels, has helped thousands get the compassionate support and help they need and deserve. The Comeback Quick Response Team Initiative, which visits people who have survived an overdose and brings help and support directly to their doorstep. And Stronger Together, a friends and family support program that can transform a life of despair to a life of hope and purpose. Our coaching programs, which include peer and family coaches and our online coaching corner sessions, help people affected by addiction navigate their way through recovery. Meanwhile, we continue to educate the public through naloxone training, which provides free naloxone kits to individuals and groups and teaches them the proper way to administer this life-saving medication that can reverse an opioid overdose. Stigma education teaches people that words do matter and that substance use disorder is a brain disease, not a moral failing. And our school outreach initiative raises awareness among students and educates them by sharing real-life stories of addiction and recovery. We're glad that you're here with us tonight. Please know that you are not alone. We care about you and believe that compassion is greater than stigma. We have peer and family recovery coaches in attendance, so if you need to talk with someone, please seek them out. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask a FAN staff member. We are here to support and help you.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the April Macomb County Fan Forum. I'm Frankie, and I will be your host tonight. In a few minutes, we will be doing Pass the Mic, so everyone will get a chance to introduce themselves and let us know what brought you here tonight. Thank you so much for being here. I just want to mention that Fan Forums are really at the heart of what we do here at FAN, and this is how FAN actually started, with families affected by addiction coming together and being a source of support for one another. Tonight, our topic is Substance Use Does Not Discriminate. You will be hearing from two individuals, Dr. Christensen and Jeremiah, who will be sharing their story on how SUD affected their lives, and they probably are not the picture of what you would think of when you think of someone who suffers from SUD. At the door, you should have received a packet of paper. This packet contains program information, as well as our Yoga for Recovery flyer and our volunteer sign-up form. If anyone is looking to volunteer, we are always looking for people to help out. There's a multitude of things that our volunteers do. They help put together care kits for individuals who might be seeking treatment or coming out of treatment and maybe going into sober living and they don't have hygiene products. They might be putting together an Narcan kit. But most of our programs do utilize volunteers for a multitude of things, including our upcoming Run Drugs Out of Town. We're always looking for volunteers to help set up and tear down at our events. Also food counters and things like that. So if you are interested, there are flyers, forms on that back table. Also, I don't know if I should mention this, but you can get community service hours for doing things like that if anyone needs those, because we are a nonprofit, and so we can help provide that for you as well. In the back of the room, we have set up a resource table. You'll find books. You're welcome to check them out and bring them back when you're done with them at the Fan Forum, because we are here the third Tuesday of the month, so that's when you would return that book. Family recovery coaching is available for families, and it provides support and guidance to families who have a loved one who is struggling with substance use disorder. Can we have any family recovery coaches in the room stand up? So that was Margaret. If anyone is interested in finding out more about the Family Recovery Coaching Program, you can get with Margaret. You can get with any of the other staff you see walking around. They're all well versed and would know how to connect you with that service. Peer recovery coaching is also available for individuals who are struggling with substance use. Peer recovery coaching is also really at the heart of what FAN does. It supports all of our programs. So anyone who goes through one of our programs is offered a peer recovery coach. And you don't have to go through one of our programs to get one. You can actually go right on our website, go under programs, and fill out the form and request a peer recovery coach. These are at no cost to the individuals that are being served. So they're not free services, but they are free to you. So take advantage of them if you need them. Can we have all of our peer recovery coaches stand up, please? Well, these aren't all of them. We actually have about 40 of them, but these are the ones in attendance tonight. We also have an naloxone distribution program, and we think as an agency that it's very important that everyone carry Narcan. If anyone here needs Narcan or would like to participate in a Narcan training, FAN offers Narcan trainings several nights a week, both in person and virtually, and there is always a Narcan training. I think it starts at 5:30 or 6?
5:45.
5:45 here at Paradox Church on the same Tuesday as the FAN forum. So I would like to take this opportunity to pass the mic, have everyone introduce themselves, let us know why you're here.
Hi, my name is Anthony. I work for Hope Not Handcuffs. I work in the call center. I am a person in long-term recovery, and I'm here to hear our speakers.
Hi, my name is Manny, and I am here to learn more about addiction.
Hi, I'm Sandy. I used to come to FAN a lot back when I was at the basement of the church in Fraser. And sure helped me a lot, sure taught me a lot. And then, you know, my son got good, he got clean. So, yeah, that was all pre-COVID. So 3 years later, he slipped up, they OD. I mean, he's here, but just starting the cycle again.
My name is Dennis Johnson. This is my third meeting. I am here introducing myself. I have been to several meetings. I have opiate addiction. I guess, I'm just seeking help for that right now. That's about it. Thank you.
My name is Julie. I'm a woman in long-term recovery, and I work for the Combat Quick Response Team program.
Hi, my name's Irene, and my son has been addicted to heroin and fentanyl in the past, but he's currently in recovery, and I'm here to see the speakers.
I'm Serena. I'm in recovery.
Hi, my name is Ariel. I'm a woman in long-term recovery and also the program coordinator for Harmless with FAN. And I'm really interested to hear what both speakers have to say tonight, because anybody can become addicted to drugs and alcohol, and I think it's going to be an awesome share tonight. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Tom. I'm here with my wife, Mary. We're both here looking for help to deal with our daughter, who we suspect is addicted to prescription drugs.
My name is Mark. I'm a man in recovery and also a case manager with FAN's Redirect program.
Hi, I'm Kate. I'm the Prescription Drug Misuse Education Coordinator with FAN, and I'm just here to learn more about what the students have to say today.
Hi, I'm Sherry Campbell. I'm here to listen to Jeremy and learn. Thank you.
My name is Terry. I'm a family recovery coach, and I lost my son to an overdose in 2017.
My name is Donna, and I'm here to support my son.
Hi, my name is Mary. I'm here to support my son who has an addiction and hopefully learn more from FAN.
I'm Brian Cousins. I help people navigate the process of finding treatment for Skyward Recovery. I sit on the board for FAN. I'm in long-term recovery. I'm here to help individuals and individuals help teams.
My name is Lisa. I'm in recovery.
My name is Joan, and I'm from Fraser, and my son is 34, and he is a prescription drug addict.
Hello, my name is Eva, and I'm a long-term recovery. I'm on the board of directors at McComb Alamo Center. I'm here to support my granddaughter.
I'm Jessica, and I'm a recovering addict and alcoholic.
Hi, I'm Andy. I'm an addict, and I'm looking to live a life of recovery.
I'm his mom, and I sure appreciate FAN.
Hi, my name is Margaret. I've been involved with FAN since 2008. I have a son that has 9 years in recovery. I'm a family recovery coach for FAN and quick response family recovery coach with Madison Heights Police.
Hi, my name is Raj, and I'm here with my wife to support our son who is fighting with his addiction. And obviously I cannot thank enough to our peer coach, Dan, and our family coach, Margaret. Thank you.
My name is Kathy, and I'm here to hear my husband speak. And we brought our pet therapy dog, Olive, so feel free to say hi to her.
Hi, I'm Dara Cockrum, and I'm the Vice President of the Northwest Wayne Chapter. And I'm here to learn and support, and I'm here really to support Dr. Christensen and Kathy, because I think they're pretty darn amazing.
Hi everyone, my name is Jillian. I'm an addiction medicine physician assistant, and I'm here to learn and support and hear the speakers.
Hi, I'm Clyde. I'm in recovery for addiction, and I'm currently living in a 3-quarter house, and I have 60 days clean today. I'm my peer coach for bringing me here, and everything that he does is amazing.
Hi, I'm Samuel, and I'm in recovery for the rest of my life, especially because of this guy Scott right here sitting next to me, because he would not allow otherwise.
Hi, I'm Scott. I'm a peer recovery coach with Families Against Narcotics. I'm a person in long-term recovery for over a decade, and I will take no credit for the gentlemen to my right, both here, because they both put in such hard work, and I'm so grateful that they can come to events like this and that we have events like this so they can meet other people. And you're going to hand this to Lisa.
Hi, my name is Tracy. I I've been in recovery. I've been clean ever since, let's see, I want to say 2015. I just lost a very good friend, a childhood friend, February 14th, due to heroin. His fentanyl was in his drug. I lost my stepdad 2 years ago. He's been in our lives for 17 years. He was addicted to crack, doing it for over 20 years. And got a bad batch. It was fentanyl and horse tranquilizer in it, which was very hard. My dad was a heroin addict. He passed away in 2005, but he did not pass away from overdose and nothing in the system. Right before my son was born, just got a rehab, stayed clean. And I'm here for a mix of reasons that I really don't understand with the core. A year ago, I took my medicine, and I don't know what happened. Something was wrong. I went asking for help. I don't remember anything, and I don't know. They said I have to come here, and I'm still fighting with the court. They were prescription medicine, and one of them was just a substance. And so, but I'm here just to support and learn more and celebrate everyone else who is in recovery.
Thank you. We hope we can provide you with
Hi, my name's Tom. This is my second time here. Grateful to be here, and I've been clean for a year from prescription pills.
Hi, I'm Chana. I am a person in long-term recovery. I am a peer recovery coach with FAN, and I'm just here to get involved.
Hi, I'm Lauren. It's my first time here, and my younger brother, who had been clean for a while now, recently relapsed, so I'm here for familial support.
Hey, my name is Scott Steenberg, and person in recovery. I'm just here to be supportive to everybody in the room and to hear Dr. C and Jeremiah.
Hi, my name is Walt, and I'm alcoholic in recovery. It's been about a year, so I'm doing pretty good.
Hi, my name is Kimberly. This is my first visit. My son is an addict. His journey has taken me to unexpected places. And I've seen unexpected things. But I've actually met extraordinary people. My peer counselor, La Rosa, has been extremely helpful. I am now trying to find my purpose.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jack, and I'm in recovery.
Go ahead, do it.
Thank you, everyone, for being vulnerable and sharing some very heartfelt reasons for being here. So Lisa, hold on, Tom's gonna yell at me because I'm not blinding myself up here on the stage. Lisa has some really cool little coins that she likes to hand out at the forums for anyone who has celebrated over a year in recovery. And that means any form of recovery, because we do recognize all paths here at FAN. So if you have over 1 year, would you please stand up?
Stand up. I know what we want people to see.
Thank you very much. So first up is Dr. Christensen. I'm very excited to hear what he has to say. He's going to come up and share his story on how substance use affected his life. And you guys can give him a round of applause.
Thanks for the invite to speak. My name is Christensen. I'm going to share what it was like, what happened, and what it's like now in a short amount of time. Just a little bit about my normal life. I grew up in Detroit. I did most of my training here, went to Wayne State, and I like to think of myself, or I used to like to think of myself as a big shot. I have a MD, PhD in biochemistry, NIH Cancer Fellowship. I was board certified in 3 different medical specialties. I did a GYN Cancer Fellowship at Duke University down in North Carolina. And when I was working at the Detroit Medical Center, I was the residency director and the medical student director for training in OB. And I was making a not small fortune, and I had everything. They let me do anything I want. I was teaching, I was doing surgery, I was doing charity work, and I really, really had it made. And I left out one small part. Along that way, I became a hopeless alcoholic and a cocaine addict. And I was living out of motel rooms. At the end, I was actually living out of my office. I was homeless. I had a car, but I didn't have any windows because it kept getting broken into. And I was a complete human disaster. And I want to tell you a little bit about how that happened. And I want to also say that for anybody here who has a child who is suffering from addiction, you will hear all the time that this is because of the way the child was treated. This is all due to childhood trauma. I had no childhood trauma. I had wonderful parents. They did everything for me. My mom worked so we could go to college. My dad took us all to Africa when he did a Fulbright scholarship over there, and I was given everything they could give me. And this still happened to me. So I want people who have offspring here in the audience to know that, you know, when you'll hear this all the time, that it was due to the parents, it wasn't, okay? And I just started off as a weird kid. I was a ham radio operator when I was in junior high, and that is actually the original definition of a nerd. I would sit in my basement and I would do, you know, Morse code contacts with people around the world, and I had a very calm life, and except for starting a couple of electrical fires, you know, really nothing happened to me. And then I decided that I wanted to meet girls, and ham radio operators don't meet girls. I can just tell you that up front. So I decided I was going to be a rock and roll star, and I bought a set of drums, and I got into a band, and I never made it big time, but I used to hang out with people who were. I remember when I was in high school, I would hang out with Ted Nugent and Alice Cooper and all these folks, and we would drink even though I was underage, and it was all fun, and nothing happened. And then I went to college. I went up to Open University, which is still there, the years and years later. And I met a psychiatrist who came to lecture, and I decided I wanted to be like this guy. I wanted to be a doctor. And I really had never thought of that before. So I went out to New York State, spent a summer out there working for a psychiatrist, and you know, I actually worked in what was called adult foster care and what they called retarded children back then. And I loved it. So I came back and everybody said, if you want to go to medical school, you got to go to U of M. And I transferred to U of M, and it was a complete and utter disaster. I couldn't talk to anybody. I got depressed. I started drinking. And that was really when I would really say that drinking got unfun. And I would sit in the basement of the dorm room that I had, and I had a little black and white TV, and I would sit there and drink beer and watch black and white TV while the rest of the world, namely U of M, was going on around me. And I flunked out. And I came back home, and I went to Wayne State, worked part-time, got a job, pulled my grades up, and I got into medical school. And things got good again. And back then, medical school was divided in half. You had 2 years of classes and really nothing else. And then you started taking care of patients. And again, we had a lot of fun. We partied a lot. And I had a great time the first 2 years. And then the third year came along, and that's when you're supposed to start taking care of patients. And all my friends disappeared. They knew that this is why they were here. They were here to become doctors. And I was saying, wait a second, where's the party? Where are we going to go drinking? And there was nobody. So I just kept drinking by myself, and things started getting a little, they talk about things being fun, bad, and bad. I was starting to go into the fun, bad era. And I never got into trouble, never got caught, but it was just not, if you knew me and were watching me, you knew there was something going on and things weren't going too well. And I took a couple of years off after medical school, and I worked and I got a PhD and in biochemistry, and I did cancer research, and things got fun again. And then I did a residency at the Detroit Medical Center in OBGYN. It was a really big program back then. And again, people took this seriously, and I wanted to know when we were going to go out and train. And that's really what I cared about. And I started slipping. I didn't show up looking too good. And I remember one morning when I was an intern, we were making rounds. We had to have all the patients seen by 6 a.m. And then the chief resident would come in and we would tell the chief resident what was going on. And somebody walked in late. And the chief resident was berating them. And he said, if he can show up on time, anybody can show up on time. And I thought that was a compliment. I didn't realize I was being held up for ridicule. And the drinking got worse and worse and worse. And eventually I had my first intervention. And that's when I was a third-year resident. And they called me in, and I thought I was going to be told what a great job I was doing. And I couldn't figure out why there were so many people in the room. And it was an intervention just like you said on TV. And my chairman, my boss, started off saying, Carl, you have a drinking problem. And I stopped it right there. I spun everybody around like a top. And that was another point I want to point out to everybody here. If you are trying to intervene on an alcoholic or a drug addict, you are no match for that alcoholic or that addict. They will convince you that you're the problem, there's nothing wrong with them, why did you even try and do this in the first place? And that's what I did. And I escaped without any consequences. And I finished my residency, and I got my dream position in training down in North Carolina doing GYN cancer surgery, and it was one of the top spots in the country. And they only had like 20 spots in the entire U.S. at that time, and I got one. And it was a dream job. And I went down there, and I knew I had to be careful because I seen deliverance. I didn't want to wind up in jail in North Carolina, and I was careful, and they had you do 1 year of research and then 2 years of taking care of the patients. And again, research, I'm off to the races, I'm having fun, and then that year of research came to an end, and I had my first night when I was on call. and I was in charge of the entire OBGYN department at Duke University. And I had to go in for any problems, any disasters, and I knew I couldn't drink. And I was sitting there in the apartment I lived in, and I made it till about 9 p.m., and I drank. And I just remember that is one of the times where I knew I was in trouble, but I wasn't going to do anything about it. When somebody can't not drink or use, that's addiction. That's not abuse, that's addiction. And that just went on and on and on, and I had 2 more years of surgery and chemotherapy and stuff that I did. And one day the chairman called me in. This gets to be kind of repetitive. The chairman called me in. And he starts saying, Carl, I want you to know if there's any night when you can't come in, don't come in. And I thought, this is great. He knows how hard I work, and he doesn't want me to overextend myself. He was telling me, don't come in when you're drinking, idiot. And I actually, years and years later, when I was making amends to him, I brought that up, and he said, yeah, that's what I was talking about. And I didn't even realize it at the time. I was just oblivious. And I finished my cancer fellowship, and I had job offers all over the country, everywhere. And I wanted to come back home because I wanted to be where I could drink and where I could use. Okay? I wanted to be alone. I wanted to be able to run the show. And even my parents, this is how bad it was. My parents knew that if I came home, I was going to be in trouble. And my parents told me not to come back home. And that's a bad sign. My parents wanted me to stay away from Detroit because along the way, I really haven't mentioned this, along the way I had picked up a little problem with cocaine. And I wasn't using any cocaine down in North Carolina, but I knew when I came back home that I was going to do that too. And my parents didn't know about that, but they knew that there was something that was going to happen when I came home. But I moved back, I got a job at the same place I did my residency, and like I just mentioned before, they gave me everything. They gave me a dream job. Lots of money, lots of responsibility. I could take care of the patients that were uninsured, everything I wanted. And most people in that situation who are making a lot of money, by the way, what they will do is they will go out and they'll invest the money, they'll buy a house, they'll do this, they'll do that. And I did something that no alcoholic should do. I went out and I bought a bar. And alcoholics should not buy bars. Okay, I can guarantee you that. And that made things a lot worse, a lot faster. And I can say that not only am I one of the few people in AA who used to own a bar, I'm one of the few people who were actually banned from their own bar. I couldn't go in my own bar. And that takes a lot. I can guarantee you it takes a lot. And this is a long, long story, obviously, but I wound up having another intervention and more close calls, and I was using cocaine, and obviously that's going to get you into trouble even faster. And I decided that what I would do is I would take a cure, and we have different cures. One cure is a geographic cure where you move away from yourself, which is kind of hard to do because you always bring yourself. Another cure is you bring somebody else into your life so they will straighten you out. And that means getting married. So I married my chief resident, my chief OB resident, which nowadays, by the way, is illegal, but back then it wasn't. And this poor woman had really no idea what she was getting into because we never lived together. And we got married, and she moved in, and she found out very quickly what she had gotten herself into, and it was just a complete disaster. We had this beautiful carriage house. It was down on the Detroit River. Is that the 2 minutes? Oh, okay. A beautiful carriage house down on the Detroit River, and she lived in the top of the carriage house, and I lived in the basement where the horses used to live, okay? And I had a bar and a bar. Okay, 2 minutes from now? All right. Okay, so I'm going to have to stop. I didn't realize it was this quick. Eventually, I got intervened on after things got much and much worse. And I was taken out of work, and I was sent over to human resources at the hospital I worked at. and they told me that I had tested positive for drugs and that they were going to suspend my medical license. So to make a long story short, I just threw in the towel, okay? And I said, I will do anything to keep my medical license. And what happened was I was sent out to treatment, and they took one look at me and they put me in the hospital because I was I was in withdrawal, I had malignant hypertension, I had uncontrolled diabetes, and they told me that it wasn't even safe to be in a treatment center. And I took one look at the people that were in that hospital, and they were all these old guys, my age now, and they were shuffling around in bathrobes, and they looked horrible, and I was going to run. That was my plan. I was going to get out of there, and I was going to keep using. And something told me to give up and let somebody else take care of me. And that was my miracle. And I stayed, I let them detox me, I went to the treatment center, I got better, and I was allowed to come back to work, which is another miracle. And the hospital that could have easily thrown me out because they caught me, let me come back, and I worked there for another 10, 15 years. And my sobriety date is April 19th, 1999. So if I make it till midnight, I'll have 24 years. Life here assures me that nothing's going to happen on the way home tonight. So, I'm sorry I didn't have a chance to really flesh it out, but thanks for listening.
Thank you, Dr. Christensen. We will have time for questions after the speakers, so just to let everyone know in case they have any questions for either one of them. Our next speaker is Jeremiah. He switched seats on me.
I'm not here. I know she's gone.
Oh, hi, Mom.
So my name is Jeremiah, and I'm a person in recovery. And it's always an honor and a privilege to come here. Is this loud enough? Closer? Good? It's always an honor and a privilege to share my story, my experience, my strength, my hope. My mom's got me all frazzled. She usually doesn't come see me speak, right? And so, this fall will be 16 years until we had that meeting in the basement. And we didn't know what we were doing. We had no agenda. There was a bunch of people. My little brother, October 1st of 07, passed away of a drug overdose. And 19 days later, Ryan Rudolph died of a drug overdose. And nobody knew what to do. And so we fancied ourselves as an upper, higher class. This is what we thought we were in Fraser, and we didn't have drug problems. And we got dubbed heroin high from there. And from that point forward, we through Families Against Narcotics. It wasn't called FAN then. It was called a bunch of pissed off moms and dads and police officers and city council and the superintendent of Fraser Schools. What do? We don't know what to do. And that was how Families Against Narcotics started. And they literally put me and like 4 of my friends, they're like, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna have you guys go speak to the youth. And we're like, yeah, let's do it. And then they like shuttled us all around the state and they're like, this is what you're gonna do. We're gonna open up doors for you to go in and share your stories. And so that was the start, really got me excited and really got me, turned my life into something that it is today. And I never thought in a million years that I would be standing here, addressing myself as a recovered person, a person in recovery that firmly believes in the process of recovery and believes in the 12 steps. And so when they called me up and they're like, you need to talk about how the disease of addiction does not discriminate. And I said, well, that's fun. I can talk a lot about a lot of things, and I really enjoy sharing. That's how I energetically heal myself. So I do believe that childhood trauma has a lot to do with addiction. All trauma is too much, too soon, too fast, and something that took place in your life that was, in lack thereof, an empathetic witness. And so that's what we get to do in these meetings. We get to be able to witness ourselves in a very vulnerable state of being, and we're able to allow each other to be vulnerable. And when the vulnerability comes out is how we get to heal. And so at the end of the day, isn't it really about healing and all of God's children coming together and bringing their hearts around each other? And so that's really when we sat around in those meetings and people had the opportunity to share about, like my mom coming here and when she lost her son and being able to be in the room with other mothers that lost their children or brothers or siblings that were able to do this. And I never, ever thought that I would be so grateful to be a person that was addicted to drugs and alcohol. I mean, it's the best thing that has ever happened to me in my entire life, by a long shot. And so for me, it takes a real intervention of mind, body, and spirit to take place that I'm no longer grateful. It's no longer, people say, well, you couldn't use it. I got sober at 21 years old. I went to 5 inpatient rehabs from 19 to 21. My parents got a real ugly divorce. At 16 years old, I abandoned my mom and went with my dad and started doing drugs and alcohol on a daily basis. And so God had a plan for me all along, and it was his destiny and fate for me. And so we can decipher it, we can do all those things. The 12 steps told me I didn't need to figure that out. I just needed to come here, clean house, find God, and help others. Find God, clean house, and help others. That's all I needed to do. And so at about 14 years sober, I had a panic attack. And I never dealt with anxiety before. I never thought about mental health. Like I was always involved. I'm the standing treasurer of Families Against Narcotics in mental health. And all of a sudden, I'm having a panic attack. And I'm like, I dealt with all this stuff. You know, and so my Creator gives me these things in doses that I'm able to handle them. And so wherever I'm showing up in my life in that moment. So when I started using drugs, like Doctor said, it was a lot of fun. And I would have never continued if it wasn't fun. Then it became fun with problems, and then it just became problems. And so it was, and when I got sober, it wasn't because I was in trouble or the drugs and alcohol for this recovering person that I am stopped working. And I couldn't mask the pain that I felt inside from the drugs and alcohol. That they wouldn't mask it anymore. I would get high and still feel like garbage. So what happened was, as I would start using, well, I had a whole mind full of the 12 steps. And I was like, now, you ever gone to meetings and then go back to using or like drinking? It ruins it all. It's like, why did I ever go to that? And that's the thing about planting the seed, and that's the seed of hope. And I never knew that I needed the seed of hope, but you guys have always continued to give it to me. So I was raised in a very, very middle-class family. Mom and Dad worked their butts off. Mom would always hide stuff from Dad to make sure we had the finer things in life. And I watched her bust her butt, and she worked 4 jobs and found different ways to make me feel loved and important. My dad always, I have a lot of friends and I work with a lot of people in recovery, not recovery, as a coach in this level, in this atmosphere. And so a lot of people are trying to approve something from their mom or dad that they never achieved, and that's what drives us to use that drugs and alcohol. We never thought we were enough or never accomplished. I always felt loved. The problem was I never loved me. I never felt that I was good enough. That was not my parents' fault. That was not my community's fault. I remember the farthest back memory I had, I went down the street and I was at Ryan. I went to Ryan's house. And I knocked on the door, and he lived at the end of my road. And his mom came to the door, and she said, I said, can Ryan play? And he lived in a quad level, and I saw him in the living room. She was like, no, Ryan's not here. And I'm like, and I didn't have the courage, I was like 6. He's right there. And from that point forward, I thought I was bad, or that I was something wrong with her. I wasn't worthy of somebody. This is through thousands of hours of therapy to work through to get to that point, so far as back I can get, of that's the first time I identified with that feeling of unworthiness. And so now, in my life, I'm trying to measure up to that. And the drugs and alcohol relieved my spirit enough so I could feel like I was enough. I didn't use drugs and alcohol to get high. I used drugs and alcohol to relieve the thinking that caused the pain and suffering. So without thinking, I don't suffer. So what do drugs do? Stops the thinking. And so then I became chemically dependent on the drugs and alcohol. And so this is just my journey, and this is just my story of who I've come, and I remember it back. And so the cool thing about the human mind is we can remember things and alter reality. and remember a lot different than it actually took place and how it happened. And we do that with our mind, body, our spirit, but what we really do is we try to remember things, how they're going to serve us. And so if I'm a person that thinks that the glass is half empty, I'm going to remember it as it hurt me, and it happened to me. So if I'm a person but that my glass is half full, it happened for me. And so I can usually either use it in my mind to push me forward or to pull me back. And so those are the emotions that I have going forward. In all of this, I knew God had a calling on my heart. I knew God had a purpose for my life. And I didn't know what it was when I got sober. Zero. But I knew darn sure what it wasn't. And it wasn't to continue to use drugs and alcohol, because he couldn't use me for his mission to help and heal myself so that I could be a vessel for him to work through to be with you. And so all of this is all wonderful, right? And so we get to build this triumphant life. And today I get this amazing opportunity to work with people from our businesses to what the world that I get to explore. And I meet people. And so one common denominator that opens up more doors for me than anything is my story about addiction. So I've been on hundreds of podcasts over the last 10 years explaining who I am. Every single person, they don't care about the businesses or the web, none of it. They're like, tell me how you did it. Like, you were a junkie and now you're this. And like, you don't look like a junkie. And I'm like, what is a junkie supposed to look like? Like, tell me, like, what is it supposed to look like? We got a doctor over here, we have scientists, I mean, we have all of these different. And so if we're not going to stand up here, I don't care who you are. I'll tell you exactly all about my story. And if you judge me, that's not on me. It's not, when I tell somebody something, when I have the ability to share my experience, strength, and hope with somebody else, and they judge me for it, that's not on me, that's on them. And so I no longer have to carry that weight of shame. Shame was one of the biggest things for me, it still is. And it's carrying that shame and guilt, right? Like Brene Brown talks about it a lot. She goes, the difference between guilt and shame is guilt is I did something bad, shame is I am bad. And so addicts and alcoholics, we suffer from that tremendously. Because, well, if I didn't do this, then my little brother wouldn't have died. If I didn't do this, so now I can look at it and say, through the grace of God that happened, I'm able to accept it. Acceptance is one of the key principles of recovery, right? Like, I have to accept everything the way exactly it is, the way God intended for it to be. And so, whose will is it? My will or God's will if I'm not willing to accept it? It's already done. And so I have to relieve my nervous system enough. And so a lot of the work that I get the opportunity to do today is around my nervous system. It's the electrical system of your body. It tells it what to do, when to do it. It's autonomic. And so everything that I feel and think creates a feeling or sensation in my body, right? And so I have a 9-year-old and my wife and I have a 9 and 5-year-old child. And everything that they do, when it's autonomic, they start developing this sense of being, right? And so how they react to life it's based upon the way that they are allowed to feel and energetically move through life, emotions, right? So I was told as a child, not from just my mom and dad, from society, they diagnosed me with ADHD when I was like 5 or 6 years old. They diagnosed my son with ADHD at Montessori schools, and they're like, you need to put him on medicine, or he's got to leave our school. And so we tried medicine, and it didn't work very well, and so now he left the school, and he grew out of it. And I'm like, wait a minute, he's 5, shouldn't he be an asshole? Like, shouldn't he, like, isn't that what 5-year-old boys and girls are supposed to do? Like, they're supposed to be energetic, you know? Side note, pretty cool. Do you have any idea that you're, like, fears, you have fears, right? We have all these fears. You're only born with 2 fears. The fear of falling and the fear of loud noises. Everything else is learned, right? Everything else is a learn, and we can learn these things. Habits are caught, not taught. And so we learn these things from our environment. So who I am today is a direct reflection of my environment. And so when we look at an addict or an alcoholic like myself, and you say, well, wait a minute. And then, have you guys ever heard the tree analogy? Where if there's a tree growing, like there's trees outside, right? And so, if you are dealing with a child that's an alcoholic or an addict, right? We always say to people, and I hope I'm not too far off that way. We always say to people, what's wrong with you, right? Instead of what happened to you. And we need to change our meaning around our relationship with what's going on in our lives and how we perceive them. And so you have a tree outside. If the tree's not growing, what do you blame? The soil, the air, the sun, the water. You blame everything but the tree. When you're dealing with an addict or an alcoholic, who do you blame? That, every time. But what we need to start looking at is the environment around them. What has caused them to react this way? And there's so many everything to do with brain science and neuroplasticity and all these things lead to this, right? And so once an addict or an alcoholic takes responsibility for their actions, I'm not going to ever change that way. The cucumber to the, what do they say, the pickle to the cucumber, the butterfly to the caterpillar, like I get it. Like I'm never, through the grace of God, for 24 hours, I'm not going to drink a drug. And I still take it 24 hours at a time. But we got to really change the way that we're really looking at the disease addiction. And that's why Families Against Narcotics is one of the only nonprofits that I involve myself with. It's because we're out here on a mission to change it. And I absolutely love the fact when I got sober, it was 12 steps or the highway. Like you were nothing if you weren't 12 steps. And you guys stood up here and you guys said that we include all walks of recovery. And so there's no right or wrong way to do this. It's the thy own self be true. And so when I got sober, it wasn't like that. And through the grace of God and through people, organizations like Families Against Narcotics, I've really been able to expand and see, and it's opening my eyes, and this Dharma and yoga and energetic practices, and I'm like, I learned, and I learned these things, and how about just feeling the body? How about we are human beings, not human doings? And the world, and society rewards us on what we do, and not who we are being. And so like emotions and feelings and emotions and like all of these things, and emotional intelligence, and being able to just be with who you are, and for you to be that to be enough, right? And so I learned that emotions is energy, moving, energy, moving, emotion is energy that are trying to move in my body. The drugs and alcohol gave it a way to get around and to transcend through my energy centers, the Dharma, your chakras, whatever you want to call them. And so the drugs and alcohol found ways to alleviate the pain that I had inside my body. So when I can bring peace, stillness, and joy into my body, I can be fulfilled. And all I was looking for drugs and alcohol to do was fulfill me. And so growing up in a very normal family, and what I thought was normal, how the hell am I supposed to know what was normal or not? It's all you know. Until you grow up and then you get married and then you're like, oh shoot, that wasn't normal. Like that wasn't normal. But when I was growing up, I knew nothing different, nor did I desire or want anything different. And today I get the opportunity through recovery, through, most of my companies are built with people in recovery. They're the most trustworthy individuals. I believe that when you can, work with somebody that nobody's ever believed in. And drug addicts and alcoholics, including myself, I was unemployable when I got here. Nobody would give me a job, so I started my business. And now my job is to allow other people to believe into them and to pour into individuals and light the fire within inside them rather than just put it out. And so we had a tendency in society to push people to the side that have drug or alcohol problems. And I love partnering with groups where it's like, hey, let's give this individual another chance because nobody else is. And I've been, like a lot of people in this room, involved in people's lives that are truly transformed, and they're different because of who they are. So, whew, that's all I got.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you both of you, Dr. Christensen and Jeremiah. No, of course you can.
But I do have just a simple question. The wife that you have sitting next to you, is that not it's a different? Okay. Well, because we didn't get to hear the rest of your story, and I was curious. Okay. So I'm really sorry that we didn't get to hear, because I'm really interested in the rest of your story.
Okay, does anyone else have any questions for Dr. Christensen or Jeremiah? Lovely Kathy.
This is for Dr. Christensen. Since we didn't get to hear everything, I'm just wondering, after you detoxed, did you go to residential? How long were you there? How hard was it for you?
I was in residential treatment for 4 months. It was supposed to be 90 days, but for some reason they got mixed up. And then when I got back, I was allowed to start seeing patients after like 3-4 months. And I was in a monitoring program called the Michigan Health Professional Recovery Program that monitors doctors and nurses and pharmacists. They also have one for lawyers, they have one for pilots. And I really credit that for helping to keep me sober when I was just walking around in the days, which was for quite a while.
Is that the HPRP program?
Yes.
Thank you.
Doctor, I didn't catch what kind of medicine you're practicing now, but just after years of trying to find help through the medical blah, 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 for my son, I just find so many medical professionals don't understand addiction, don't know how to deal with it, so just guidance, like really how to find the right help.
So my specialty and my wife's specialty when we had a medical practice was addiction medicine. I still work at St. Joe's Hospital, but if you're looking for an addiction specialist, you can go to a web page called the American Society of Addiction Medicine, and they will list the addiction doctors that work in your area. But that's the primary specialist that works with addiction specialties.
Yeah, kind of few and far between insurance hurdles. But I'm just like, even just going to a therapist, and the therapist saying, well, I'll help you if you quit drugs, come back. And, okay, where do I go? I don't know. I'm here when, you get rid of that part of it. And I don't know, it's just crazy because of how many years of school, and it just seems like nonsensical, like when you're really trying to find some good help out there. Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions? Okay, good. Thank you. Okay, Lisa wanted to give an update.
So I just wanted to let everybody know that everyone here at FAN, we are always open to helping everyone. We had a young individual here tonight that needed our services, and he is now receiving them. So I just wanted to let everybody know.
Thank you everyone for coming. Just a couple reminders of some upcoming dates. Our Run Drugs Out of Town is June 17th. It's at Fraser High School. You can register for that on our website. It's our 5K. You can walk it, you can run it, you can volunteer. August 31st here is overdose awareness. And our annual Fall Fest is October 17th. And then our October forum will be October 24th instead of October 17th due to the Fall Fest. Again, this forum is every third Tuesday of the month, so please come back. It was really nice to see so many families here looking for support tonight. I'm just going to share this and then I will let you guys all go home. But when I first got involved with FAN, it was through my recovery house, and it was at a different location, and when you would go there, it was packed, this was pre-COVID, it was packed with families seeking support and supporting each other. And since COVID, we haven't had as much participation. And so it was really, really nice to see so many family members here tonight seeking services. Again, if anybody's looking for any information on family coaching services, you can get with Margaret, or you can go on our website and just apply for one. And I want to say that I want to make sure anyone seeking family coaching services understands that a family coach is not there for the purpose of you talking your loved one into going into treatment or getting into recovery. It's about your own recovery and how to get better yourself. And a lot of times, as Terry puts it, I love when she says this, it's about having a relationship with your loved one, even if they're still using, that does not center around you trying to control their disease. It's about establishing that relationship around the love that you each have for each other. And we have plenty of peer coaches here too, if anyone's interested in that. Thank you all for attending.